meeting of the Board of Trustees for November 30th, 2017. First item on the agenda is the invocation of the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll turn that over to Vice Chairman Dean.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Tonight we have two students from Brooklyn Casey High School who are going to lead us in the invocation of the pledge. We have with us Addie Cullum, who's going to lead us in the invocation, and Micah Abisher, who's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Addie Cullum is a senior at Brooklyn Casey High School, where she is enrolled in honors and AP classes. She's the president of the Math Honor Society, a member of the National Honor Society, and she maintains a 4.7 GPA. In her free time, Addie rides and shows reining horses countrywide. She's competed in the NRHA Futurity in 2015, 16, and 17. Addie recently signed a national letter of intent to ride equestrian for the University of Georgia, where she plans to major in genetics. Micah Abisher is a senior at BC, where he is enrolled in honors and AP classes. He's a member of the Math Honor Society, the National Honor Society, mock trial, and student government. Micah was the National Merit Scholar with Commendation, an AP Scholar with Honors, and a Furman and Wofford Scholar. He maintains a 4.9 GPA. Micah was on the cross-country team this year, has been on the golf team for 5 years, and was named Player of the Year 2 years. Micah enjoys playing golf, traveling with his family, and is an active member in his church youth group. Micah plans to attend Clemson or Vanderbilt University and major in biology. He hopes to become a pediatrician. So Addie, if you will step to the podium, and then Micah, when she finishes, if you will step up right behind her.
Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, support, and wisdom as we begin this meeting. Thank you for allowing us to live in a country to be able to have the freedom of expression and the ability to educate ourselves. Please keep a watchful eye and a protective hand on those who are protecting us here at home and abroad. Fill us with your grace, Lord, as we make decisions that affect the students, staff, and faculty. Please continue to remind us that what we all do here this evening and what we all accomplish is for the pursuit of the truth for the greater glory to you. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is consent agenda, and no objection to the agenda. Meetings will stand before you. Next item is public participation, which we have none. Next is reports on the honors and accomplishments of student and staff. I'll turn it over to the superintendent.
Yes, ma'am. We've got a couple of recognitions. First is one of our students, Nathan Walton. Nathan's folks are here, I think, to accept the certificate. Nathan is recognized tonight for finishing in first place in the South Carolina High School League Class 3A State Championship swim meet. He was named 5-time state champion, 2-time high school state champion, 6-year Brooklyn Casey Level, USA Swimming Junior National Qualifier, USA Swimming Academic All-American. Nathan is a member of the National Honor Society and the Math Honor Society. He has a GPA of 4.86 and is ranked 7th out of 200 in his class. And as a good student and a good athlete, Nathan is not with us tonight because he's at practice. I would like to congratulate him. I would say that's pretty good. A 4.8 GPA and winning the state championship, that's kind of hard to beat. I can be very proud of that. Former middle school, Megan, who's come up. Former was named the 2018 National School to Watch, one of only a handful of middle schools in South Carolina to receive this designation. It's the third time since 2011 that Fulmer has been recognized with the honor from the National Forum to accelerate middle grades reform, and one of only about 400 middle schools nationwide to do so. The recognition identifies schools well on their way to meeting the forum's high-performance criteria, including academic excellence, responsiveness to challenges of early adolescence, and socially equitable practices in support of students. In addition to that, the former middle school principal this past week was named one of 2 finalists for State Middle School Principal of the Year. Congratulations.
See y'all later.
Yes, ma'am.
Next, we'll move on to unfinished business. First is consideration of RFP for enhancing student safety on the bus.
Yes, ma'am. We brought to you all at the last meeting some information about GPS tracking on school buses. We put out the RFP. We've had responses from that, gone through all the process. We have Mr. Tom Flatt here with us tonight. Tom can give you some update on what this would actually mean, and then we have a recommendation. Tom, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Any press this?
Miss Allen, you're good.
The superintendent has asked me to keep this to 5 minutes. I think I can do anything less. We have really 3 key points that I wanted to make, and I want to make sure we have every opportunity to answer any questions that you might have. And I can see you have a very long agenda tonight, so I don't want to take too much of the time. This project, the essence of it is about technology. It's about bringing the latest and the best technology and putting it in place and making it work for you, which is a point I will return to in a moment. And it's about knowing where the bus is all the time and using that information and pushing that information out to people who need to know. The parents, the students, and the administration. And also knowing which students are on that bus and when they get on and when they get off. That's really the crux of what we want about. The second point, and you may wonder why it is a consultant is standing up and talking about technology. Well, in our years of experience in helping school districts fix the technology that isn't working for them, we have learned that there is usually a substantial gap between the promise of the technology and the reality of making it work. The core of our proposal is to get it right the first time. To use the knowledge that we've gained and understanding that the technology is not simply about implementing it and turning it on. It's about integrating it into the workings of the school district, into the processes, all of the policy considerations, all of the operations, all of the interrelationships with the systems that exist, and making it work the right way the first time. So the third point, jumping off from that, is that our approach is all about crawl first, then walk, then run. The worst thing that we can do is promise wonderful new technology and then have to fail in the implementation. We'll lose credibility, and the very people that we want to benefit from the technology, the users of that technology, will lose faith, and we'll have a failed implementation. So we are here to bring the best technology forward, but to implement it, to integrate it in the right way the first time. That's really all I had to say, and I didn't time myself. I'm sure that's nice.
You did well.
Any questions that I might be able to address?
Is this going to be for bus or student?
Yes, is the answer to that. But again, coming back to the third point, crawl, walk, run. So what we want to make sure we do is start with the technology that is the most advanced and the most ready to be used, and that's the tracking of the school bus. GPS technology has been around for quite some time now. And only now, 5-10 years after it really became prevalent in the industry, are we really able to make use of that location technology for the buses in the right way. The tracking of students, I would describe as where GPS was 5 or 10 years ago, to say that's more of an emerging technology. So we want to be a lot more cautious about how we implement that and when we implement that. That's the first point. The second point is there's also a desire on the part of the school district to use student tracking technology for more than just the school bus. The technology that exists in the school bus industry tends to be proprietary and targeted at just knowing whether the student is on the bus or not. So the first part of the work that we would do is to work with the district to understand more broadly what the desire is in terms of student tracking, and then target the solution to the overall need, not just the bus.
Ms. Dodson and I had a committee that worked on this, and they met with Tom a couple of times, and basically what they've looked at is a 5-year kind of program, and hopefully it will get increasingly more technical, but starting out with what we know we can do and knowing exactly where the buses are, when they're there, when they're going to be at point A, point B, and track them and then work our way through it. So it's more of a 5-year kind of rollout. Don, have you got anything for me?
One thing that was very important to us as a committee, that nothing, because technology changes so much, we wanted to make sure that nothing that we would be installing on these buses would be proprietary. In other words, we wanted to be able to work with multiple cards, multiple systems, and Mr. Flatt has assured us that that is the case. It is important that you understand that this is not a student tracking system right now. Our committee had considerable concern about how that would work. And right now there are people that are trying to implement that, but it basically comes down to a card. And when you start talking about how you keep and maintain those cards with those elementary students, it becomes difficult. So that's where I think Mr. Flatt is correct in that we crawl, walk, and then run. It may be 5 years before we start tracking students. We may never start tracking students. I don't know. But unless we can come up with a system that works, then the committee was not favorable of going down that road just yet.
With the initial phase 1, I guess we'll call it, with the tracking the buses, will that have the capability of notification pushing out to parents?
Yes, absolutely.
So the phase 1 will
Yes.
include that, so they can look on their phone and say,
It's a mobile
10
application.
minutes or whatever.
It's a mobile application, and that's exactly why we're focusing on the bus first.
Okay.
Because the GPS technology is mature, and that application is mature. So we know that if we integrate it the right way with the existing systems, make sure the route information is correct, that we can roll that out in the near term. Hopefully piloting that in the current school year with a full rollout next year, so that we'll know precisely where the buses are at all times. We'll be able to track those buses not only for the purpose of arrival at the bus stop and arrival at school, but we can use that same information to make the system better, right? Make it more efficient, more effective, as well as safer. And then shortly thereafter, hopefully it won't be 5 years, but as I promised the committee, our job is to make sure that you're successful, right? So the first thing that we need to do in leading this project is if the technology isn't ready, or just as importantly, if the district isn't ready for the technology, the worst thing we can do is try and force fit, right? So we'll analyze that in the near term, and we will have the plan ready to go. We just don't know how long it will take to get the full rollout until we get that plan.
Second question, are these units pretty portable, easy to change from one bus to another? Hopefully we'll be getting new buses at some point.
Yes, so that's another aspect that we talked about with installation. We have an additional complexity here in South Carolina in that the state owns and provides the buses. One thing that we do have going for us is that all new buses being procured by the state are being procured with the same basic technology that we are proposing to use. So what that implies is as the state replaces buses and puts those in service for their school district, that equipment, there's no cost to the district for providing that equipment. For those buses that we do put the equipment on, it is eminently portable and can move from one to another. So as buses phase out, we can take that equipment off and put it into new buses.
The first year of this implementation would include the equipment. All first years for $60,718. It's renewable for a total cost of $186,391 for 5 years. So it decreases over the 3 years. The recommendation from the committee, and I would support, is that we accept this and we implement the GPS bus tracking system from school bus consultants for a period of 5 years.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we accept the administrator's recommendation for school bus consultants to provide the bus tracking technology for a period of 5 years.
A motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Kessler? Any questions?
One other question. This is going to be on all state-owned and district-owned buses or activity buses, and everything will be included?
That is correct.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you all very much. We look
Thank
forward to
you.
working with you.
Next, under unfinished business is second reading of board policy IKADD, content and credit recovery.
Yes, ma'am. At the last meeting, the board approved the first reading of the credit recovery policy. We'd ask that we get that approval.
Mr. Bingham?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve second reading of board policy IKADD, content and credit recovery.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Giles. Any questions? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. All right, now we'll move on to new business. And the first item is election of officers and board trustees. And I'll turn that over to Dr. James.
Yes, ma'am. As you all know, I will take nominations for the board chair. Nominations are closed. We'll have a vote, and I'll turn the meeting back over to the board chair. If there are any nominations.
Mr. Superintendent, I make a motion that we retain all 3 officer positions for the following year. So that will be Ms. Williams as chair, Mr. Bingham as vice chair, and Ms. K. Kessler as secretary.
Okay, the motion to retain all 3 officers. Are there any other nominations? Nominations are closed. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ms. Williams? Your meeting.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on. Next item is consideration of revision to board regulation IKA-R, grading assessment systems.
Yes, ma'am. This is in line with what the State Department has set as a grading system. Basically, it is a rounding to the 3rd place. Revising the board regulation would put us in compliance with the State Department of Education. We make a recommendation that the board approve.
All right, Mr. Bingham.
Madam Chair, I will make a motion that we approve for first reading the revisions to board regulation IKA-R, grading and assessment systems.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Kessler. Any questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is item C, and that is consideration of renewal of ground lease for SCE TV tower located on Lexington 2 property.
Yes, ma'am. You have a copy of the lease in your packet. Basically, SCETV has asked for a lease for that tower space back there, $1 per year for the next 20 years. When talking to Mr. Eisenhower, one of the things that the board might want to be aware of is if we set that lease in place, part of the funding that comes from other equipment there would be split with SCETV. So in light of that, I'm not at all sure that that's a good, overall good venture for the board. Don, you got more that you want to add to that?
Not really, it's just that at the current time, that tower is being leased to Verizon. They're paying us a monthly fee for that. When ETV called and they wanted to talk to someone about the tower, they basically told me that it was pretty common for them to split any revenues that were generated from their towers. I'm of the opinion that Verizon would probably be willing to put the tower back up if we do not renew it and ETV decides to take it down. That's, that's something that we need to consider.
That's this tower right here on this, the one right behind the.
Right.
Right behind this district office.
Madam Chair, in light of some information that came today, I think that I would make a motion to table this discussion until the next meeting.
Okay.
Until some other decisions can be made.
I have motion to the next meeting. Do I have a second? Second, Ms. Kessler. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. January meeting.
Okay.
All right, next item is consideration of a resolution.
Yes, ma'am. You have in your packet a resolution that originated in Greenville County. I think Ms. Brown saw that through some of the board that she knows there. Superintendent's got a copy from the superintendent in Greenville County. Mr. Giles ended up getting a copy, but basically a good number of the districts have adopted resolutions that are akin to this, that are calling for dissolving the Educational Oversight Committee. Basically, where we are at this time, as you well know, we've got about 5 different governing bodies that are governing education in South Carolina, and that the overall nature of the Educational Oversight Committee has changed in the fact that they're doing a lot of regulation kinds of things that have in years past been left to the State Department of Education. So we would recommend that this board adopt that resolution.
I make a motion to adopt the resolution.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Kessler, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next, we have Ms. Branham is our rising star at the national level. We have a resolution in support of Beth Branham's candidacy for president-elect of the National School Board Association, and I believe Ms. Kessler too is going to make that resolution for us. Motion.
Ms. Branham and I have worked together for a long time, and I feel honored to make this motion that the Lexington 2 Board of Trustees fully support Beth Dickerson Brown for the president-elect of the National School Boards Association.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Giles. I don't think there'll be any discussion except that we are so proud of you, Beth. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay. Next, we have consideration of color charts for Springdale Elementary School. Mr. Eisenhower?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. James, we have with us tonight architects from Boomerang Design, who they're in charge of the design for Springdale. And we're at the point that we need to agree upon colors in order to be able to get the lead time covered that we need for ordered casework and various things that we're going to need to finish out that project. So with that, James and Pierre, I think we're going to double up on this presentation.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. James. Thank you for giving us a few minutes tonight. We wanted to go over some color proposals for Springdale Elementary School. Things are going very well at the site. They're cranking away at it. Everything is well. Technology. Can we turn on maybe that back row of lights so they can see these colors? Is that good? Things are going very well at the site. One of the things that we have really spent a lot of time on is the selection of masonry colors for the school. And consensus has really come down to this. Shows a darker base, a very warm field color, a soldier course for accent at the top. How this relates to the elevations that you have seen prior is dark base here, the field color in this location. Excuse me. One of the important things is that we were very fortunate and very excited about finding a brick that very closely matches the existing brick that's on the building. So you can see the brick in the background of the existing wall, and this represents a very good match of what is there, and so that will be utilized as well on the elevations. And we really think this is going to look good. It's going to really come out well. This gives you just kind of the flavor of those colors being added to the school. The top one is from Watling Road with the dining and cafeteria addition, the admin building addition, and then those same areas from the back of the school, which is the view from the playground. So we're really excited about this. There's been a lot of work done to really tie this together. This is really a zoomed in look at what we're talking about. A darker base, a nice warm field color, a brick that matches the existing as well as works really well. And then the soldier course at the top, which provides an accent and really just kind of ties it all together. From here, I'm going to go ahead and set that up. We want to talk about the interior colors. And for the audience, what's on this board is exactly what you're looking at here. So we wanted to put the real samples up for you. But these, it's my Fred Flintstone fingers. Okay.
Sir, was the administration involved with this color for the brick and on the outside? This is what they're wanting, the color design in that?
Yeah, this has been involved with Mr. Eisenhower and the folks that are providing all the masonry as well as the architects and contractors and everybody that's been
It's
involved.
basically just matching the existing brick that's there. And I mean, even we had, Kevin, I think even came by, we laid up several mock panels before we finally arrived to a color that we feel matches. Now the blonde brick, that's used to block throughout the district. It's not, at the current time, I don't think it's anywhere at Springdale, but that's not unusual for this district.
Chocolate is, sir.
Chocolate is, but
And your soldier brick goes to the top.
and there's a little bit of, there was some discussion, they originally had a wider block, and there was concern about how dirty that would get, if anybody ever vandalized it or anything like that. It was the kind of block that would be very difficult to clean and maintain, so we're not locked into the dark. They have another option if you want to go back to that, couple of options, but this is what they're proposing originally.
Are you trying to do this, are you?
I am not. No.
Thank you, sir.
I'm not opposed to it, but I'm not sold out to it.
looking at the interior colors, we have VCT typical in the classrooms that is consistent with what is there, so we will be extending out. We're fortunate to be able to provide the same thing, and that will really tie the school together with accents, field colors that exist. Classroom doors will match the dark gray base. The district colors for what is corridor spaces and classroom spaces, as well as some accent color for some of the teaching walls and other places. What this is sitting on is a big carpet sample, which really repeats the blues. You can see better in what repeats the blues and grays, and that are the school colors, the blue and white as the school colors. Cabinetry, is blue and wood tones. And the serving line wall tiles have a blue and a kind of a creamy white, as well as an accent color with that. We're showing the health room floor. It's a little bit different floor than normal. It's a sheet vinyl good, which doesn't provide any joints in the floor, and it keeps it scrubbable and clean and easy to work with. And then group toilets, we're showing a black partition with solid surfacing top and then floored wall tile. So that's the colors that we've pulled together. It really does keep in with the existing at the school. And we've used this carpet other places, and it really is nice. It really is a good looking, durable. Is there any questions I can answer? That's really what we had to talk about interior and masonry colors.
VCT colors, that's for the wings or kindergarten area, first grade, that's how we signify, or you use the colors throughout?
Well, we can come up with some patterns, but the idea is to use them throughout with colors as different accents.
Presently, the school has a red wing, a yellow wing, a blue wing, a green wing, and we are looking at continuing that.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question. Yeah.
Addition of the building.
Right. Yes. It does match what's there.
And the carpet, we're going to carpet tiles?
Yes. And that's cost effective because if somebody spills a cup of coffee, you can take it one tile and replace it.
What all areas are going to be carpeted?
It's the offices, media center. Answer any other questions?
I guess one concern I have, and to either one of you is, with the masonry is it going to be very noticeable? What's the new part of the building? What's the old part of the building? Is there going to be a big difference? I mean, I know obviously some of it just architecturally is going to be obvious what's new and what's old, but I'm just wondering if we have a little more consistency in the masonry, is that going to help it blend?
One of the concerns when we got onto this project to get it going was there had been an addition there, and they had tried to match it, and they kind of put them next to each other. And anytime you do that, any difference is going to show. Our strategy for this is there is enough of this brick that very closely matches the existing on the elevations, which includes down here, a good amount down here. So there's quite a bit of brick that matches the existing. However, our strategy is to not put them together with just a joint. Anywhere where that brick occurs, it will be separated from the original brick by some other accent, the field color, or something like that. And for your eye, when you see those two things, they're going to look like they match very well. And by not putting them directly side by side, you're not going to see any minor discrepancies. And this looks kind of dark. I think that you would find this is going to be a little bit lighter in the sunshine and in the real world. It's hard to, with photographs and renderings, it's hard to completely and accurately represent it.
Is that mock-up still there?
Yes, sir.
Might be good if the board had an opportunity to look at that, because
It's there.
that darker
The only issue we have is that these are kind of a long lead item for when we're trying to get the brick and block started. And we've got to get these things ordered pretty soon.
Yeah, that's right.
And if you're opposed to the chocolate color, and I kind of felt like there would be some question about that. We have a couple of other options, and James, you may want to show them those.
And this brick here really is not as dark brown as it really appears.
It's more blonde, yeah.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of orange to it. It works very well with the existing brick as a complementary masonry.
Say, mortar.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we'll match it.
When that photo was taken, the mortar had only been laid the afternoon before, so the mortar was still very weak and green. When it dries, it's much closer to the color of the mortar you see in the solid course above.
You're just keeping that rough mortar throughout and you're not changing mortars.
Yeah, only place we're looking is using the different mortars on the chocolate.
It could be a nightmare if you don't. And one reason for the idea of the darker base is because when any kind of dirt, mud, anything splashes up on the building, if you have a light color at the bottom, it's going to be a maintenance issue, and it's going to look bad pretty quickly. So the idea is, it's a darker.
It also gives you a base to the building. I mean, any buildings, you'll see a darker third, and then about 2/3 above it, it's different.
That's right. This is 2 feet 8 inches high as a wainscot. That's about here. And you're right.
It adds
way
weight to
rain
the wall.
out, you see darker and then lighter going up. It looks very odd if you.
Is the mortar on the brown the same gray mortar, or is it brown?
It's the same mortar.
So it's just green in the picture, so
yes, sir.
It's going to lighten up when that mortar turns gray like the mock-up beside.
That's right. It'll look much more like this gray, standard gray mortar in the back. You can see this panel was laid earlier.
Right.
It's a new panel, but it was laid earlier, and you can see
that
how...
mortar, the mortar in the picture we're looking at is going to look just like that mortar when it's dry.
Yes, sir.
Yes. That's going to lighten the brown way up.
Yeah, it will. But, Don, if you wanted me to go to...
That's up to them. I mean, if they want to see something different, and, we're prepared to show you something different.
I think we should see it.
Here's one option where you've got a little bit more of the field color. Again, here's a brick that matches the existing very well. But this changes the base, the 2'8" base, to a lighter color. And it does lighten it up. The next option, we're calling 3, it adds even more of a lighter color block here while keeping everything else the same, and using the soldier courses as, access. I think in the long run, you're going to be happier with the darker base because it's not going to have to be cleaned as often, and it's just not going to show the dirt.
I agree.
You have a question?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
To the bathrooms, it needs to be, I love the black. For me, that would work beautifully. But for elementary, I'm a little bit concerned about going in and if we could have another option for bathroom,
Okay.
for the stalls. The black is so harsh for little ones, I think, but that's
Okay.
just a thought.
No, that's fair. We can put together another option for that very quickly.
I love the black, but I just think elementary. Thank you.
Good.
Madam Chair, we recommend that you approve the colors as presented.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the colors for Springdale Elementary School as presented.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, also at this time we have with us Todd Stevens with Jump Colleges and Jim Kirk with Thompson Turner. They're going to present for you the early site and foundation package for the new arena at Wilton Casey High School. You may want to mention that this is actually going a little further than just the foundations and dirt work.
What all includes? Well, so you go ahead.
Yes.
All right. While I'm making my presentation, I think Todd is also going to simultaneously show you some renderings, or you're going to do that one time?
I'll do that. If you'd like to see it beforehand, we could, either way.
Okay. All right. Well, Madam Chair, Dr. James, members of the board, thanks for having us here. We are eager and excited to get busy on the Wilton Casey Arena project, and are excited to tell you that we had really good competition on your site work. We had 4 competitive numbers come back. They were all very close to one another, and the low bid was responsive and complete in their scope, and we were able to use them in our final number. So what I have prepared for you tonight is an early site and foundation package so that we can get busy ahead of the final building package. This early site does include not only the preliminary site work, demolition that is required on the site, preparing the building pad, but it also includes all of your final curbs and gutters, sidewalk, asphalt, parking, and then of course the foundations for the building. The site work came in right where we thought it was, right in line, a little bit lower, and the foundations and concrete number actually came in a little bit lower than we thought. So the number that we're presenting to you tonight is $1,819,385. And this does still, as typical, include a 5% construction contingency that's listed. We will be receiving the contract documents this week and are hoping to get really good competition and participation. This is a good, high-profile job in the area, and we're going to try to drum up as much participation as we can to get you as many competitive numbers as we can for the building.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the GMP for the early site and foundation package for Wilton Casey High School in the amount of $1,819,385.
A motion, do I have a second? Second. Second, Ms. Casey. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. I'll turn it over.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. James. Thanks for the opportunity. So what you just approved is the early site and foundation for the new arena. The drawings are being completed this week. We'll be forwarding them on to Thompson Turner for them to provide the GMP at your January meeting. But here's a rendering from Knox Abbott just to kind of refresh your memory. And then this is the building site right off of Knox Abbott with BC High School in the background, and just kind of you can see the tennis court, the 5th tennis court that's being added. Hopefully the weather's going to cooperate and the surface can go down next week when the days are warmer like we're experiencing now. And to update you too, the baseball press box is coming along nicely along with the softball, baseball concession stand, and you can see how this baseball press box closely mimics the softball press box. So that project is coming along nicely.
All right. The next project is the resurface.
I got a question. On the arena facing Knox Abbott, I know the city is doing a street safety projects down there. Are you coordinating with them with regard to how that's going to interface with what they're doing?
We are, Bill. So working closely with Carol Williamson and the city. So the sidewalk, our landscaping will tie in closely with the sidewalk. Our fence will be just behind the sidewalk that's adjacent to Knox Abbott. and we're also tying into the fire line that's being installed. So working in close relationship with the city and utilizing what they're providing to the school district. So it's,
Because we're replacing the water line down that side of the road, so
That's
we
right.
want to make sure we don't put paving down before we get that water line in and that sort of thing.
absolutely.
The next item on the agenda is the resurface. Sorry.
I think you were involved in a meeting on Tuesday night concerning the brickwork. Can you tell the board something about that, since we haven't heard anything?
Well, I think the Bearcat Club and BC High School will be coming to you in the future to ask your permission to introduce some brick pavers in the project. So I didn't bring the rendering tonight, but on the opposite side of the Knox Abbott Street elevation is the BC High School elevation. We've got a plaza that connects the new arena over to the existing school. Along that plaza, we have opportunities to have brick pavers installed. Those could be named, or people could buy them as fundraisers. So again, they're going to present that information to you guys, I think, from what I understood, in January or at some time in the future for your consideration.
They've already met. Okay, thank you.
Do we need, for the tennis court, you have on here, do you want?
I just want you to be aware that we looked at all of the tennis courts at BC High School, and there were some pretty serious cracks in the existing asphalt. And it's unfortunate, but sometimes that does occur in asphalt. We've gotten a price of $22,000 to come in and resurface all of those tennis courts, those before existing, to make them look like the new tennis court that we're going to be putting down. Unfortunately, the weather, unless the weather holds up for a while, we're going to have to wait until spring, is what Thompson Turner's telling me, to put that coating down. But we're going to take it out of contingency, but I want you to be aware, because there's not a whole lot of contingency in that project. It's a real expensive project. But so if we end up needing that contingency for something else, I just want you to be aware of the fact that we're doing something that's beyond the scope of what was asked of Thompson Turner.
What I was asking was, because on here you have an age, do you want, you have a recommendation, do we need a motion on that?
I suppose it would be good to go ahead and approve that, and then if we do run into some issues, then we've covered ourselves and we don't have to stop work. We can take it either out of contingency. If we run out of contingency, then we've got your approval to use another $22,000. So we do ask that you approve it for us to resurface those existing tennis courts for $22,000.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the resurface of the tennis courts at Brooklyn Casey High School in the amount of $22,000.
I have a motion, do I have a second? Second by Mr. Giles, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
I have
I'm
one question.
sorry.
I just have one question. Donna, have we looked at, I know a lot of schools will paint the surfaces to match the school colors. Have we considered, going to redo all of them to look at a different color other than the standard green and blue?
John, are we looking at any color other than blue or green?
We haven't currently, but we certainly can give some selections.
I will say, Brad, that USTA's recommendation is the blue surface with the green surround. The optics off of the blue surface is supposed to be the optimal color for seeing a tennis ball. So that's how that original color was arrived at. But there are other choices, but that's the USTA recommended standard.
Okay, that's fine. I'm good with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Motion and a second. You got something else?
No.
Okay. We finished my part. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
All right, I've been telling this board ever since I came a little over 2 years ago that my goal was to get every project on paper so that we could kind of get a true budget established and estimated for those projects. What we're going to present to you tonight is our first shot at two projects that I know are near and dear to your hearts, and we wanted to just start and try to figure out exactly what you want. So the first thing we're going to be presenting to you is the Performing Arts Center. And there are a lot of different questions here about the seating, how we want the seating. Todd and I met yesterday after he put good work into this, he and his team, and we're giving you what we think you want, but that could change, and but that's why we're having this presentation. So, Todd, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Eisenhower. And as Don stated, these are just early concept drawings, wanting to get some of your reaction and your feedback. And one of the sites that is a potential site for the Performing Arts Center is George I. Perry Elementary School site, highly visible along Platte Springs Road. Has a nice stand of pines right along Platte Springs Road, and then right behind the site gently slopes away, so we could accommodate a performing arts center that kind of sits back a bit. This indicates about 350 parking spaces. The zoning requirement from the City of West Columbia only states that you have to have 200 for a 1,000-seat auditorium. We think that may be on the low side a bit, so we've indicated 350, but some of that could be future parking as well. So plenty of opportunities there. One of the things, and as you noticed in that rendering, there's an area for a plaza out front, and so this site will accommodate that. The house actually will seat 1,000, in this plan, 1,000, and we can discuss other seating totals, but right now we're indicating 1,000 seats. A large working stage with the fly loft and all of the associated rigging that goes with a working stage, and even orchestra pit out front. So the students in Lexington too will have the opportunity to not only perform on those stages, but also participate in AV and rigging and those type things, so it could be an instructional space as well. We're proposing to have a green room and a scene shop that's associated with the Performing Arts Center, so folks could build scenes within the scene shop and actually roll them. We'll have large overhead rolling doors into the stage, so all of the scenes can be built on site, moved easily back and forth from the stage. Have associated dressing rooms and access to the fly loft as well. And then on the west side of the building would be an area where the toilet facilities could be located. Ticket booths would flank the front entrance, as well as an office for whoever is sort of the performing arts facility director, just to have him or her a home base there. And then we've taken the liberty to kind of create a rendering of what the space could look like. Again, keeping in mind that we want to use very traditional and substantial building materials, brick and stone and glass, to give it that innovative feel as well. So the main lobby is a 2-story type space, flanked by brick and stone pieces of the building, and then you can see the fly loft in the back. That fly loft actually extends up 55 feet into the air, so very substantial building. One of the things that Don and I have discussed is the different seating arrangements for this facility. And so we can bring you sections, but right now the most economical approach to seating is to have a kind of a low slope, gently sloping floor where you have ADA accessibility at the back, the middle, or the front. Another way to approach that is actually have the stepped risers where it's, and you've been in some venues, where, it's a steeper sort of seating arrangement, and that's certainly a possibility also, but there's some cost implications that go along with that.
So Madam Chair, we're just looking for feedback, and if you like this kind of stuff, we'd like for you that you give us the ability to work on this in the future. One of the things that we're considering right now is that the proposal that I gave you, or the schedule that I gave you, was to start this starting next summer. In order to do that, we would have to move the students that are currently at pair twice. We're starting to rethink that. We're not sure that that's in our best interest. So there's a possibility we may want to postpone this for a year, year and a half or so. So just want to keep that in your mind as well. But again, my main purpose here is to get some idea of what we're looking to build, so we can get a dollar number to it, and we can start figuring out what kind of money we have and what we might be able to put toward other projects.
Questions, Mr. Thomas?
More comments than anything. I'll start by saying that as much as I want this, I would much rather wait and do the right thing. Kevin and I had the opportunity to go to Greenville County last week as part of a national school board tour, and they have a fine arts center there that really, I think, kind of changed both of our concepts, because this is exactly what I had in my mind initially. The way that they use theirs is really more like our innovation center is going to be. So it's, yes, they have a performance area, but it's much more of a teaching performance arts center. They had, film editing, they had the rigging, the sound, all this kind of stuff was incorporated as part of their fine arts center. So it wasn't just a building that you go for a performance. It was used, and the students were, it was a selection process kind of thing, it was a county selection. Obviously, both of our high schools could utilize this similar to our on the art side. So, Kevin, you guys get feedback. It really kind of just changed, I think, our thinking.
It changed a lot because they had like a music program on one side where they did the music, they had a dance, they had a ballet, they had bars, they had everything over there. So they brought a lot of culture in there. They had plays, they had several smaller auditoriums instead of one large auditorium. And they had an architectural group. Clemson came in and toured with them and actually taught through architectural. They had, I think there were a few other things. They had drama, all kinds of things used in this one building all day as a school itself. And so not just a, we think fine arts is just
it wasn't just a performance center. It was actually a teaching facility that incorporated some of that. So it had a much smaller as far as the auditorium, but it had several small areas. It still had one that was probably, 700 as far as the seating, but I don't know, it just kind of reminds us it's a totally different idea of what a fine arts center can be. So I would encourage us to kind of maybe hit the brakes for a second and then maybe rethink kind of what we do with this, because I think we've got opportunity with the arts programs we've got already at Saluda River and at Busby. This could be kind of the next step on the high school level, and still be able to utilize it for all other schools as well.
And that sounds really wonderful, like you make it educational, because my big concern, Don, I think it's been all of our concern, not just me. I'm real leery of just having a standalone fine arts center that sits empty the majority of the year, and we have to just basically sit, because I know we've talked about potentially having some type of two-story district office with a hall in the middle attached to the fine arts, just so there's not just this building sitting empty all the time. That's a huge, huge concern of mine, and I don't know if we take a look at what you're talking about, because I can see that's the arts part of K type. I'm 100%, that sounds wonderful. Or hearing it like we talked about before with the district office, wherever. I just don't think I'm quite ready to go with just an independent thing like this. Although it's beautiful, Todd, thank you, but I don't think I'm ready to just go independent on this yet.
Size-wise, are we settled on 1,000 seats?
Wouldn't it depend on what we settle with if we?
Yeah, I don't think we're able to even answer that question, John. I think, why don't we just kind of, yeah, but I mean, I think it's important that we have a place where, we certainly can put everyone at the district for one meeting, or a place that, people can be for graduations or something. But I think the consensus right now is, why don't we just kind of,
Just table this for now?
yeah, we have a workshop meeting coming up sometime in January, February, and why don't we further discuss it then?
Madam Chairman, but in the meantime, can Mr. Cease get us an idea of what something like this would cost so that we have some type of comparison of what we're able to afford to offer?
Something like you just.
Yes, something like
Or
what Ray just explained and what they saw.
Can you do two different things?
You don't have to draw it up, just give us some kind of a.
Sure, I think we can work with Thompson Turner to come up with some options, and Brad along those lines, a venue much like you described in Greenville. So we can certainly give you that information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, along the same lines, and you may or may not like this, but this is our first shot at remodeling the district office. As you know, at the current time, we have no funds for this. We're getting those funds to forward. But I guess that's where we earn our money most, is trying to figure out how to pay for these things creatively as best we can. So, and again, if you don't like this, I guess you can blame me more than Todd, because I took it upon myself to tell him that I thought, we might want to enlarge this room so that we could, recognize more students, more groups, and that sort of thing. But that comes with a cost. So, Todd, if you will, just go ahead and show us what we got.
Right, absolutely. So with that in mind, we took a look at this facility. We pulled out the existing drawings from 1976, and what it clearly identified is this is a high wall. So we're standing right here right now, and this wall extends all the way through the lobby and kind of wraps back around and comes back out. So one of the things that we were thinking, if you're interested in extending the seating area for board events or training events or whatever other activities you host in this space, we could take that back wall, which is currently right here, and actually push it out toward the Teal Conference Room, which is here, and almost double the seating capacity of the space. You would still have a very ample and large size lobby area. The central receiving and reception desk will still be located right there. So the person sitting there will be able to direct visitors to whichever department they need to go in. And one thing, as we were kind of going through this, and Don pointed out, is you can kind of departmentalize or compartmentalize the office, the district office. So if the superintendent office is relocated more toward this area, and his assistant and support staff is located around, got a close proximity to an exterior door, a large conference room here. All of the areas shaded in beige are kind of more of a level 2 renovation, so more extensive renovations, new walls, new cosmetic finishes throughout the entire building, but the beige indicates repositioning and building new walls. This area in the back, again, there's a library back here, a conference room, a reception sort of office with a window, permanent walls for private offices located back in this area, and then kind of reconfiguring the superintendent's office now into multiple offices, and again creating a receptionist type space for this department. And then possibly Kelly financing and all could take into account some of these offices as well. So just an idea, kind of throw it out there to kind of start getting your feedback as you think about, if this space this building is renovated, what some of the opportunities are for that.
And we don't want to belabor the point. Basically, I guess the idea is, do we want to enlarge the boardroom, and do we want to give folks permanent walls that give them more privacy, or do we want to stay with the dividers that we have now, which gives very, very little privacy to the conversations that those folks have in their offices. I think that's the general direction that we want from you. Other than that, we're not asking you to approve anything.
Madam Chairman. Again, I think until we go back and answer the first question on the last thing, because maybe that's just my idea or whatever, but I thought we kind of discussed it before, that we might potentially combine those projects. I think until we start answering those questions, we can't really answer this question.
Ms. Hesley? I do have a question. What would you do with the downstairs?
Downstairs, we would need a condition, because one of the things that we run into right now is we've got a lot of equipment down there that runs data and all that, and we really need to get that condition so it's cooler. Downstairs, there's been discussion about Sodexo going downstairs. They need more storage and space for their equipment, things too. And so that's been a
So
possibility.
HVAC changing that, and just a minor,
Just minor stuff downstairs. Yeah.
nothing major.
Right now, we got storage down there that's kind of laid
Yes,
out
sir.
with hog wire and things like this. We
Yes, sir.
will put some permanent walls on
And get rid of a lot of stuff.
there. I hope so. Okay, next on the agenda would be the color charts for Riverbank High School once again. I'm sorry, Riverbank Elementary School. Trying to graduate those students already. And we just want to make sure again that we get these charts chosen so that, or these colors chosen so we can get these long lead items underway. And I will say that we don't have it on the agenda for you to approve Saluda River, but we are prepared. At the time we created the agenda, we did not think we would be ready with that, but they are ready. So we won't ask you to vote on Saluda River, but we will proceed with Saluda River unless you tell us otherwise. So we do want you to look at Riverbank and give us your opinions.
All right, so I'd like to introduce Lauren Fagan. She's one of our super talented young interior designers. Been with us for a couple years, so she'll share. She's been working hard on this, working with Mr. Sims and Don and his group, as well as I think some input from teachers in the design committee there at Riverbank.
So we've progressed. This is very similar layout to Casey Elementary, and we've progressed from what you've seen there, which was a little more linear, to something a little more organic, which was based off of the color teal, which we were given as the school color, and the mascot was a turtle. So now it's become, and the name of the school is Riverbank, so it's become much more organic in concept, which we're now carrying through the pattern of the terrazzo in the hallways. As you can see, there's a view similar to some of the images you can see in your local area, and this is a bank with the tree and then water that will flow down each corridor, and then that is duplicated in each of the collaborative areas. And we have created a balance on the other side with a linear line that is represented in gray on the plans, but could be changed to one of your accent colors of teal, green, or blue.
If you actually walk along the Saluda River banks, you have images very similar to this, so it's incredibly beautiful, and I think that was the inspiration for the layout.
So we're using a lot of neutrals paired with the accent colors, but we don't want to, teal is a very powerful color on its own, so we're trying to limit that, but still include it and not overpower the children. So We're using a carpet that is also seen at Casey. It's actually this carpet. And we're going to be using that in the media center at Riverbank as well. Accents of teal can also be carried through, and the color of the curtain and on your stage, and is muted slightly in the paint and VCT and tile.
So the carpet panels here, the second, where would those be used? The blue and the blue and green, the third panel over?
Oh, sorry, this is for Saluda.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm
Sorry, no,
I
this,
put that out. Gotcha. Saluda River's on the right, Riverbank is on the left there.
yeah, so this carpet is only going to be used in the media center. We have another set of carpet that will be used in the music room. That has not been approved by anybody yet. We're still kind of iterating through. Teal is a very hard color to find in carpet, and so we're trying to perfect that combination. But this is what we have chosen to show for the media center.
What about the offices?
No, not the offices.
It will have, the offices will have carpet, but not.
Yes, that's correct. They will have carpet, but it will be the second pairing.
So we're at a point where at Riverbank, where shop drawings are coming in and some are related to color selections. So we'd like to get your feedback, and if we're headed in the right direction, we'll proceed where this is the basis of design for Riverbank, and then we can kind of show you the same thing along the course of the river.
Has your faculty committee seen this?
Yes, they have, and we've been working with them every step of the way, kind of iterating through. There's been a few things that they, like the carpet, that they haven't really felt is right, and so we're still going through that process. This is where we are today, and we're happy to keep iterating through until it is 100% perfect.
Mr. Bennett.
Madam Chair, I'd make a motion to approve the color charts as presented for Riverbank.
Motion, do I have a second? Ms. Brown?
Question. So you're going to, in the tile, you're going to, terrazzo, I guess, put the flowing water. I'm having a little trouble with that for the longevity of this building.
We started with the concept of Riverbank, and we don't want to lose that concept, but we understand that we also don't want to get too kitschy, where yes, it can start to limit you in the future. So we have been trying to abstract that, and some of the things that we started with were your turtle was your mascot, and we're trying to stay away from specific images. This does have some specific images in it, but we have abstracted them and are keeping more to the nature aspect of the school rather than a specific item.
So down the road, when we have a problem and something goes wrong, we have to tear up something, let's put a big turtle there and not compare to all through the flow, is that correct?
I think that I feel that this will never date itself because it is right in your neighborhood. I mean, like
It's not a matter of dating, but when you have a piece of section that's destroyed or torn up and has to be repaired, you're not going to be able to match the colors and things at that point with what you're putting in now, so.
But Ms. Kessler, one of the things about having it abstract, and we probably could make even the tree a bit more abstract, then you have that opportunity where you could add additional colors to that sort of overall image where it kind of blends nicely. And
with the branch.
Yeah. With terrazzo, every color is custom. I mean, and so it's they mix it on the floor right in front of you. And
matching it
will
10
be.
years from now, it's going to be difficult.
It
so
will
that's
be.
when we had a
It will be.
turn or another rock or something.
That's right.
We use specific colors, like Sherwin-Williams colors, so in the future, if that happened, you can give them that specific number to match it. It's not like they need to have a piece to match it to. We can tell them exactly what color codes to use.
I really like it.
We have a motion and we have a second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Great, thank you. And we're also making a lot of progress over at Saluda River Elementary School. If you've been by there lately, you can see the cafeteria addition and PE facility is, the grading has taken place and the footings are going in. The existing building is well into the demolition part and now almost starting the reconstruction activities. So we'd like to share some images of that as well.
Okay, so for this school, we're using the same pattern of carpet, but in a different colorway. It's really great for bringing in the school's colors, and it's nice because it has a very powerful accent color, but also has a nice pairing and a lot of neutral in it. There's even another tile, which is seen here, which is all neutral. So that will be in the media center. The other carpets that you can see, so this one with the striping, and then the green and the blue will be in your music room. These will be in somewhat of a basket weave pattern, which can be seen on the next slide, actually. There you go. So that's your music rooms, and it is incorporated your school color, which is blue, and that is also seen throughout all the other materials. We'll be using it in the terrazzo and the the bathroom tiles. These are the wall partitions, in the bathroom, toilet partitions, and then slightly more muted versions of the wall accents, which will be very limited, like you have seen at Casey.
So we're not asking, again, it's not on the agenda, so we're not asking you to approve of this, but we would like to know if you dislike it.
You don't want us, oh, it's on the agenda. I like it. Can you come and decorate my house?
So part of the reasoning behind some of the additional colors that were used in this color palette are some of the existing materials that are at this school. So we're trying to be in keeping with that, which is one of the reasons we've incorporated some kind of this terracotta tone.
In the hallways at Saluda River is the broken terracotta tile. Looks beautiful, and so we'll be picking up some of that color palette in the new color schemes. So I think that's well done.
All right. Thanks, folks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren.
Okay, Mr. Cease.
Right.
Solar panels at Casey.
Okay, so we've been gathering up research for the opportunity to add solar panels over at the Cape Center, and got a couple images here I'd like to share with you. We've received information, we requested information from a number of different solar panel providers. We received information back from two different companies that could do this for us, and we're in the process of evaluating those now. If you pay for it outright, they've given us one proposal. If there are tax credits involved, there's another cost associated with that. That kind of gets beyond the realm of architecture, so some attorneys and accountants and things like that need to kind of weigh in on how tax credits work with school districts. I'm not sure. But Here is where 25 kW solar array could be located on the service yard canopy at the Kate Center. The greenhouse is out in front, but those panels, you know, we have a limited site over there, so we don't have a lot of property to put solar panels on the ground. But we have a wonderful south-facing canopy that will be perfect for adding these solar panels. That again, you know, as you teach renewable energy, Tony and Bernie, you know, some great teaching opportunities that go along with that. So we just wanted to let you know, and here it is under construction. So that service covered area will be located right here. These are the high bay doors. The canopy is actually right above the door. So facing south, it's a nice opportunity for a solar array. If you would like to have that installed, we can provide further information as we have a more clear understanding of how tax credits work as it relates to solar panels. Bill, you might not know.
Madam Chair, we actually recommend that you table this until we can get someone to help us figure out best to pursue. What we really want to make sure, though, that you understand is what this is going to look like. And we'll make sure you're okay with that before we spend a whole lot of time doing this. But if you're good with this rendering, then we will continue to proceed to try to figure out.
Okay.
As you travel down 12th Street Extension from I-77 over here, you'll be able to get a glimpse of those panels. So I think, you know, it could be kind of an innovative sort of concept for people coming into the city from, you know, the interstate as they pass by the Kate Center. You know, coming from the city of Casey, it's going to be totally blocked by the building.
So we're gonna hold on this, okay?
I guess you need a recommendation to table.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to table this until the next meeting.
Okay, have a motion, do I have a second? Second by Mr. Jones, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
We have no opposition to the work, is that correct?
Right, we had no.
Hey, and Don, I brought along a couple other images. You want to share those? So it's a couple more aerials, just, and Dr. James gave me 30 seconds, so, of the Kate Center. Construction is progressing, and we've made up some ground over the last few weeks, so the building is really taking shape. The high bay areas are here, the classroom areas along this wing. You can see 12th Street Extension along at the top. River Bank Elementary School we talked about earlier is really taking shape nicely, and the slabs, most of the slabs have been poured, and even some of the second floor slabs. So that project is again progressing nicely. And not to leave Saluda River out, but here's the pad for the new cafeteria and PE area, and you can see the existing brick infill panels have been removed, and so now when you walk down this hallway, really it transforms those classrooms along that the original part of the building. So we're excited for you to see that as it takes shape, and you can see some of the footings have already started to be installed. So thank you very much. We appreciate everything. Yeah.
Are we on target to open Kate Center?
You're going to get a schedule. I've asked the contractors to come in and give a schedule update as part of my construction update a little bit later on.
But you said they made up some time, so I just thought I'd stick it in.
Yeah, I think when Mr. Cram shares that.
Answer is yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Madam Chair, I remember him. I wanted to put these on the agenda because, again, our next meeting is in January, so I wanted to make sure that we took advantage of getting the electrical conduit and all that stuff in place. As it turns out, all of these, with the exception of the Springdale project, we will be able to cover with our allowances that are already in the project. So the only one that I need you to approve is the addition of the sound system and projector system for Springdale in the amount of $32,808 to NBCO.
Madam Chair, make a motion to approve the installation of the sound and projector system for Springdale Elementary School in the amount of $32,808 to NBCO.
I have a motion, do I have a second? Second. Second by Ms. Kessler. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Item number N, this is consideration of the roofing project at Springdale Elementary. Again, in order to save some money, we wanted to do this ourselves in coordination with the contractor. So our roofing consultant has put this out for bid. The budget was $789,652. The bid came in at $679,570, $679,570, and we recommend that you award this contract to Watts and Associates in that amount.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the roofing for Springdale Elementary School in the amount of $679,570 for Watts and Associates.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Key. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Madam Chair, item O, consideration of digital marquee for the District Education Center. Once we started talking about putting these out at the schools, Dr. Cooper came to me and asked if we could potentially put one here at the district office to help in recruiting teachers, advertising job fairs, various things that take place, and she indicates that she has money for this. So we budgeted around $25,000 for each of these signs. So if we can get permission from West Columbia, we would like to put a digital sign here at the district office to highlight some of the things that take place throughout our district as well as here at the office.
That's Dr. Cooper's fund.
Excuse me?
That would come out of Dr. Cooper's fund.
Yes, it would come out of Dr. Cooper's fund.
Good ideas. Thank you. So we need approval on that?
Yes.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve placement of the district marquee at UNC, subject to approval by West Columbia and paid for by Dr. Cooper.
I have a motion, I have a second, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Thank you, Madam
Opposed,
Chair.
motion carries. Next, we have consideration of request for overnight or out-of-state student travel.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the out-of-state student travel.
Second.
Have a second, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
I would have felt left out had you not done that.
Okay, next we have the administrative division. You are finished, aren't you, Don?
Yes, ma'am.
Next we have the administrative divisional reports, the superintendent.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Next is instruction, and we have a Kate update.
Joni's going to do that for me.
Okay.
This week, Dr. James, members of the board, thank you. We're happy to chance to bring you another update from Cape World. You have in your board packet a copy of our draft bell schedule that we'll implement next year at the Innovation Center. It will look like blocks of time. Kids will come over either in the morning or in the afternoon. There'll be a common time in between. That time will be common on all three campuses for travel, those kinds of things. We started this process back in September. We met with the administration and counselors from both high schools. So everybody's in agreement with the bell schedule. The school counselors now are in the middle of IGPs, putting in course requests, those kinds of things. So once that is complete, we'll have a better handle on exactly what courses outside of the CAPE program that we'll offer to best fit the needs of all the students that are there. We hope to have that complete for January, and then we can lay out the actual master schedule, which says who's teaching what and when, that kind of thing, by March, so we can bring to you. So with that, we'll answer any questions about the bell schedule.
Questions?
So are y'all on a 4x4 or an 80 or what are y'all on?
Yes. What we're building from is just an 8-block model. And we're kind of that way now with the 2 high schools. We've got some kids that go to classes every other day. We have some every semester. We have some kids that go to math and English every day for 90 minutes all year long. So what we're proposing is being very fluid and very flexible. We'll have classes on both campuses that match up to whatever the schedule looks like, so kids that can go back and forth seamlessly. There may be some kids that come there all morning long, all year long, or in the afternoon, just wherever best matches up for the kids.
What we centered around, Ms. Brown, is the fact that for a kid to be a completer in the career courses, and then to make certain that you didn't have kids coming in late. One school gets there early, the teacher starts, and then 15 minutes later, somebody else comes, and then because the other schedule, somebody leaves 15. So everything will funnel around this schedule. And we've gotten more and more away from traditional 4x4 and AB scheduling. The fact that one of the things all high schools will do next year is with their 9th graders in English language arts and mathematics, particularly Algebra 1, is if they aren't scoring at a MET level in the 8th grade, they'll get that course all year long and then regroup on a 9-week basis. They can get an elective English course and a required English course. So building around blocks of time, that way each of the K teachers would end up with the last period of the day would be their planning period. And so you look at that, you get your 85 minutes, and maybe you're in a welding class, and then the second block, maybe you're in an English class. But the time is just that you could come from either high school and they can continue doing what they're doing.
Any other questions? All right.
Very good. We also wanted to share our funding with you tonight for this year. This is our funding plan that we will submit, and we've already submitted to the State Department. We've received 2 different funding sources that we will use this year. We have our Perkins grant, the amount of $141.4, and we also receive a state portion of this grant in that amount from $184, $782, and some change, for a total of $326,336.43. I'm not going to go through everything that we've got budgeted, but I did want to hit some highlights to keep you guys informed. Every year, these are all laid out by sub-programs that you see on the left there. So every year we have to pick a program that we have decided that we're going to initiate and or improve. The last few years we have picked Project Lead the Way, which is what that represents. This year, it's probably the least amount that we've spent on Project Lead the Way. So we're kind of got that up and running at both schools and a couple middle schools, and we'll be moving on from there probably next year. They're in good shape. We also try to put a lot of emphasis on our student and teacher competition expenses through our student organizations. That represents DECA, HOSA, all of those things that we always go compete in the spring. We budget a good amount of money there, and if we don't have any state winners or national winners that go, we'll have money left over, and we can always do an amendment, and usually end up doing an amendment with what's left in buying equipment with that. And speaking of equipment, in sub-program 11, where we spend a great deal of money, this is usually allocated to all of the different programs, programming, digital multimedia, welding, all of those areas, and we spread those out. The way we determine the need of those purchases is usually by local advisory committees, which some of you have been a part of. They suggest what equipment we need to stay current in the industry for our students to be successful, and that's where we prioritize that. Next area I wanted to highlight was work-based learning activities. This is where we send our instructors and students to field trips, other competitions that aren't state level competitions, all over the place with these funds. We can also use those to get professional development for our instructors and keep them certified so their programs stay certified. And then the next part is our state EIA money. This is where we are in the 3rd year of our Apple lease that you guys approved 3 years ago. And all of the computers in any of the CAPE labs at the airport or BC are funded by that. That's the top 2 that you see there. And then we're putting a good bit of money into our health science program. That list as airport high right there, but that money was determined by all of the instructors at PC and airport coming together, and they're all moving to the Innovation Center together. We had to list it as a school, and instead of breaking it down 40 different ways, we just listed it as airport high school. So, and that is our funding for this year. Any questions?
Questions? And do we have any type of behavioral or entrance requirements to come over to the Kate Center? In other words, you know, not that this has ever happened in any school district, but a lot of times, sometimes kids end up getting dumped into Kate classes, and to avoid putting people on the road coming over there who might be problematic.
Right.
Have we looked at that type of stuff, or there's?
Sort of. We've met with both sets of counselors to kind of talk through the whole completed thing and what that looks like and why it's important, so that we make sure we're scheduling the right kids in those classes to kind of avoid that. The same rules will apply there that apply here, so kids that can't necessarily drive to school for whatever reason wouldn't be able to come over to the Innovation Center to drive. And I'm like you, I hope we don't have to, but we had this discussion with some of our teachers yesterday morning. But we have been in conversation with the counselors to try to steer them in the right direction to make sure it doesn't become just another leg of a class. And when these classes move off of that campus, some of that will go away too. I think sometimes a lot of that happens because that class is there and it's right down the hall. That'll look a little different when they can't just walk in and get it. So that's
What we have seen in other districts that we visited leading up to this and all of the planning is it becomes almost an application process, waiting list to get into the classes. We get everybody so that's what we're doing. Thank you.
Okay, next item is finance.
Good evening, thank you. I have the October financials for you to review, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. First, we have the revenue. Again, we're where we should be at this time of the year. You should really see our property taxes gear up for November and December when you see the financials. He's on to the expenditures now, and again, I'll be happy to answer any questions. We're right in line with where we were this time last year. And then next we have the summary of the referendum, expenditures and budgets. And that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
No objection. The monthly financial reports will stand approved as submitted. Next, we have administration and student services. We have construction update.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. James, we have with us tonight John Miller from Thompson Turner, who will be presenting schedule update. I asked Thompson Turner and NVCon to come in and give you a schedule update on the projects that they are doing. John, you do this? What you talk? Okay.
Superintendent, Madam Chair, members of the board, thank you, we appreciate it. Here just to give a quick update on where we are on the 4 ongoing construction projects Thompson Turner has for the district. The first one is Riverbank Elementary School. You've seen some pictures from Mr. Cease's presentation earlier. But we got started in May of this year. We're looking to top out the building and into February. We're going to pour our last second floor slab on Friday morning at 2 a.m. We're going to pour that slab. That'll be the last early morning concrete pour, and then we'll be running with masonry up to bearing for the roof between now and the end of February. Building dry-in for the school is targeted for the middle of March. We're going to be ready for the owner to move in their furniture mid-July, and then we're going to be looking for a certificate of occupancy 1st of August. So we got off to a decent start. July was a real rough month for us, but we've had some good weather and we're catching up, and we actually anticipate to do a little better than 8-1 for the CO, but that's where we are right now. Brooklyn Casey High School athletic modification, saw the press box and the concession stands earlier. We got started in August. The top out for both buildings was the middle of November, early November, and then we dried in the buildings a couple weeks ago, and we're looking to be done and occupied by the middle of January. The tennis court, I do have some good news. We were worried about the weather, but we're going to be starting that surfacing on Monday. We talked to the guy today. Saluda River, the renovation and addition, we are starting, got started in the middle of September. The top out of new construction, probably early February. And then the dry-in on the renovation is the milestone we're kind of tracking, will be the end of March. The date that's most important to the school district is getting ready on the renovation by the middle of May. That's the one that we're going to be running hard to meet, but we're confident we'll get there. And then the overall project being done with the new construction in the middle of this year. Brooklyn Casey High School Arena, we got started on Monday, just mobilizing, doing some site demolition, knocking down some trees, getting ready to start working on the slab. The construction drawings, the CDs we call them, due this week. So in January, we'll hopefully have a GMP that we can proceed with the rest of the building. But we wanted to get started, and we're moving forward. The tentative schedule right now is to top out the building in July, dry it in by August of next year, and with owner move in 1st of December, so that you can be playing in the playoffs next January, building occupancy at the end of December. Are there any questions? Once again, thank you very much. We appreciate your business.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. We also have with us from Medicon, Mr. Bill Cram, who will present schedule updates for Springdale and the Lexington Innovation Center.
With you there, please go to the board.
One more.
See.
Excuse me, good evening. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. Do we have the slide or? Yes, no?
I gave him the.
Well, yeah, I have it. So, we got it.
Somebody handed me back the. Who issued you? Is it still?
Okay, going up. Work is progressing well at the Gate Center. scheduled. They have it right in March of 18. OSF final inspection is scheduled for July 2018 with occupancy at the end of July. There's a lot of trades working out there right now. The precast is complete. We'll start moving the bracing tomorrow on that, which will allow us to place the slabs inside the high bay areas. We've been working out there 6 to 7 days a week. We did have some schedule issues early on. We've overcome those, and we're back on track with the schedule. And work is progressing nicely on it. We're hoping for a dry winter time, like every construction company does, but we feel like we're in good shape to deliver this project on time. Springdale Elementary, I can't tell you how excited we are to get involved in that project. That's going to transform that learning experience for the kids over there. It's a terrific project. The renovation is well underway, as is the deconstruction. Pretty well done at the interior of the existing building, starting to put work back in place on it. The exterior foundations are in place, masonry is started, and we'll be pouring slabs starting next week. The interior renovation work is currently scheduled for completion May of next year. Building drying of the new addition is scheduled for March, and final inspection is scheduled for July 20th of 2018. So we're on track with that one as well, and we look forward to turning over Teams Record projects to you next summer. I have Brian Sturkey, project manager at Springdale, Steve Howie, project manager on Cape, Reverend Steve sitting out there, and we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, I'd be happy to answer any questions that y'all might have on the construction updates that is provided in your packets.
Don, one question. Update on BC Auditorium. I know they were working on some of the, do we have anticipated time frame on that yet?
John Lee, any left? We're hoping to start at the beginning of the spring. We're hoping to. We have been working on how we're going to separate while we do the work, and it's kind of difficult to do all of that. But it will take a while. What we're looking at doing, and I've talked to Northside, we're looking, and I haven't talked to Mr. Moore about this yet, but we're actually looking to try to purchase a portable stage and maybe put that in the old gym so that they can use that, kind of have some class meetings and stuff like that for a temporary auditorium. And then when that's finished, maybe take that portable stage to Northside where they don't have a stage currently, and set it up for them to be able to have stage events at their school, just like every other school we have. To my knowledge, that's the only school that does not have a stage when we get finished with all this. So we're working very hard through trying to figure out how to do all of this, and we'll be bringing you all the information. Probably start bringing it to you again.
Thank you.
Sir, I have a problem here, and I don't want to, I know that everybody, young and old, deserves to play on these fields when it's possible, but I had a problem here with the construction being delayed due to the number of recreational football leagues on the field. We need to really, I think, address this with whoever's given permission to use our facilities, that this does not conflict with construction, ongoing construction. I hope that won't be a problem again. And in addition to what Ms. Kessler is saying, if other teams are using our facilities, we have a rate that we charge for the use of those facilities. Are those football teams paying that rate?
These are youth football leagues that are using them, that are our own students, and the policy says if it's 100% our students, then they get a waiver on the rate.
Okay, so when I go and see a Swansea and a Gilbert team out there, those are our kids?
They're participating, they're playing games.
Yes, sir, they are, against each other.
Yeah, they're playing against our teams, though.
No, sir, they're paying against each other.
Oh, I'm not aware of that.
Okay?
Another question I have on the UKC Elementary, and I haven't been out there for a week, I haven't been able to get there, but the wooded area there that's on the roadside going before you get into the school, when I last was there were some down trees in there, and there were some piles of brush. Is the construction company responsible for cleaning out and clearing out that woods that's inside that gated area for our new building?
If it's things that were caused by construction, they would be, yes. But all we got in there, we had a construction trailer in there, and we had a little bit of storage. So I'm not familiar with what you're talking about.
I'm sure this was prior to construction process, but that's an area that we need to look at as a district and get cleaned out because there's some down rotten wood in there and piles of brush. And it's not.
Well, I don't know if you've noticed or not, but our maintenance crew has been going around cutting limbs, low limbs on trees, and they've been doing a lot of that. And we can put that on the list with Mr. McPherson too. So.
This is old. It's been there for a while. I just wondered if they were responsible for cleaning out that area. That's my main question.
Only what they cost.
Only what they cost. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, I do. Under the former middle, it's sort of worded as if the board approved this. I want to make sure that the administration is also pleased with the two-story design. That got pulled on us at the last meeting, and we had no idea that we were going to do a two-story there at Fulmer. I know it was approved, but does it meet with your approvals? Because what I don't want to do is later on say, well, you all approved it, we don't have any say in that because you approved it. I want us to be on the same page.
We're on the same page. I mean, I hope that I'm not going to be against what our board approves, but.
Well, if you had concerns about it, we expect you to express it. So if you have concerns, I really hope everybody will be upfront and do it now before we start in construction phase, rather than waiting until it's done and says, well, that's what the board wanted, so that's what we did, and we didn't think it was a good thing. And we want everybody to be on the same page. And the way this reads, it struck me that I'm not sure that we're all on board with it, but maybe that was just my interpretation.
Okay.
Approved by the Board of Trustees in October meeting, and I know everything has to be approved, but I just want to make sure that we're on the same page with that two-story.
Well, that's typical. We put that on all of our projects. But we post these, which we should be doing online. We just want to make sure the public knows where we are in the process.
No, we recommended it.
Okay, thank you.
That was the administrative recommendation.
Springfield Elementary, due to the issues of fireproofing some existing walls, a decision was made to sprinkle. What was the cost of sprinkling the rest of that building?
Basically, the walls are not thick enough to put out rated walls.
Yes, didn't think that.
The interior hallway walls.
But will that be covered under the contingency fund? Is there enough there to cover that?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Under the Riverbank Elementary, it says that we are presenting the proposal for the November West Columbia planning. I'm sure you got the email from the community who's very upset that now they're wanting to change that from a 10-foot wall to an 8-foot wall. So I just, because it's coming from the community members, are we aware of that and on top of it?
We were told that we didn't have a chance. So rather than going and getting beat up and we were told that they were going to ask for a brick wall. And I would never be in favor of building a brick wall at the top of a bank that would be 10 feet high or 8 feet high that kids could jump off of and practically break whatever on our property.
First and foremost, it's a safety. Second of all, we couldn't afford it.
Exactly.
But did you get the letter from Ms. Rand?
Did you get the email?
No, ma'am, I haven't.
I forwarded it to district office. It should be somewhere in your mail, but there's a letter there. We've had it since November the 6th.
No, but we discussed with the city about that fence because Don and I met after one of those windstorms, and had we had a 10-foot fence that was composite out there the day of that windstorm, we would have had composite fencing all over that community. Don had planned to go talk to the town council about a different fence, one that was spec'd in the drawings. Basically, it was told you can come, but there's no reason. It's gonna be a 10-foot fence. So, that's where we are. It'll be a 10-foot fence, but we can't do brick because Ms. Kessler's right, one, we can't afford it, and two, it is a horrible hazard for kids out there. So, I haven't seen the letter, but we're aware that there's some folks that want a bigger fence.
I mean, it was approved, we went before council, we got it approved, it was not what we wanted. We were going to give them what they asked for and proceed.
And they started with 8, and remember the community stood up and opposed it, and then they got it to 10.
So the ordinance says a 6-foot fence, a 6-foot privacy fence. We suggested an 8, they wanted a 10.
Yes, sir. The comment was that you suggested an 8 or 10 is better.
That's right. And I will tell you, a 10-foot fence is going to be taller than some of their houses.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Eisenhower. Next is Human Resources.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening. Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. James, you'll recall during the month of September, we brought you our annual person report, and it looks at trends, et cetera. We said that we could come back to you with some more specific data. So that's what we're going to do this evening, and we'll be glad to entertain any questions you might have at the end of that presentation. We'll let Mr. Smith commence on.
Thank you, Dr. Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. James, as you recall, 2 months ago, I brought you some data that was representative for the state of South Carolina, and this is a summary of that. And the 2 main points were that the number of teachers who are leaving the profession is increasing, and the number of graduates graduating from teacher ed programs is decreasing. So our supply is decreasing, our demand is increasing. The state of South Carolina. I told you we'd come back with Lexington 2 numbers. So we went back, the state on the right, our data is on the left, and we actually went back 5 years. I wanted to see what was our trends. This is the trend of Lexington 2 teachers leaving the profession for reasons other than retirement. And although it's not a significant trend, it is a trend that is increasing. Maybe not at the same extent that the state of South Carolina is, but that the trend is that more teachers are leaving the profession, and that is represented here in Lexington 2 as well. The other point was Lexington 2 induction teachers. These are our first-year teachers. The state trend is that the number of induction teachers or students graduating from a teacher ed program is decreasing, and a number of our induction teachers is also decreasing. There's a slight variance there, but the trend is that they are decreasing. So we are in line with the state of South Carolina. With that said, we wanted to find a quest to be competitive, innovative, to find the best teachers for our district. And how we're going to do that, we're going to recruit locally through our Lexington 2 Teacher Recruitment Fair. We've had that annually. This year is going to be our new Casey Elementary School. We've extended the hours on February 3rd. It's a Saturday from 9 to 12. I've already advertised this in the Sarah website as well as our Lexington 2 website, and we've already had some responses, people registering already, and this is several months away. We're also going to advertise locally, and this is something new. We're going to have a billboard campaign where we advertise Lexington 2. We're going to focus on advertising for our teacher recruitment fair, that we're hiring teachers. We're even going to advertise that we have our $2,500 signing bonus, which as of today, we're the only local district, Midlands district, that's offering signing bonuses for those critical subject areas, and I'll get to that in just a moment. We're going to continue to recruit in the state of South Carolina, going to major universities, USC, Clemson, South Carolina State, Winthrop, as well as smaller universities, Newberry, Anderson, College of Charleston. I'm also going to continue to recruit out of state. We've attended Augusta University. I'm going to go to our neighboring North Carolina, UNC Charlotte. But I'm also looking at possibly going to Ohio, Michigan, or Pennsylvania to their very large teacher recruitment fairs and try to see if we can find some of those critical subject area teachers. And we're looking at secondary math, secondary science, middle level teachers, foreign language teachers. And again, I mentioned earlier our $2,500 signing bonus. We feel like this will help us to be competitive. We're competing against the other Midlands districts. And the signing bonus is very competitive, and I believe that this is something that will help us have that edge in finding the best teachers.
We are preparing for the budget process. As you know, we'll begin that officially in January, and alongside that comes our staffing season. And we typically begin in February, and it rolls all the way through the spring and into the summer, preparing for contract issuance now in May. Just for your information, we will be posting all of our, what I call our Terry-outs and our additional retirees when we return from our winter break. When we brought the first quarter report, at that time, we had hired approximately 172 staff. On a traditional year, and a good budget year, we'll hire about 135, 92% of those being certified staff, etc. With the addition of CDFs, the CDEP program, which includes teaching staff as well as TAs, etc., our numbers went up. We also have a 21st Century Grant, which has numerous positions in it. 172, 174 people at that time, and you may recall, we had vacancies, and we still do. With the projections and the trends that we have, I anticipate probably one of the biggest staffing years the school district probably will have ever seen. We will be placing over 50 positions just because of retirement. As it relates to the $10,000 earnings cap, what that might lead, those folks who might have retired on January 1, 2013 or prior, or as of January 2, 2013 and after. We do not have any say-so with that, so that will be up to the General Assembly, etc. I'm just letting you know that with the trends that we have at our school district, locally, statewide, etc., we are right along with everyone else. In every one of these positions that we're going to post, we are all out there trying to get them. In other words, we've been hiring retirees for a couple of years now. We need to hire the best person for the job, etc. I'm saying to you that that challenge is going to grow even more exponentially than we have seen. We know that the local districts, we always like to find out what our local Midlands districts are doing, and I can tell you this evening that in order to remain competitive, step up, we're going to have to get to the point where we offer what I refer to is on the spot contracts. We do what some might call early contracts. That's what these positions that are posted are for next school year. But Richland 1, Richland 2, Lexington 1, Lexington 4, Lexington 5, they do that. They do that. So tonight, we're providing you this information, but we're going to come back in January, and I'm going to ask for your approval for us to move into a protocol that will allow us to be as competitive as others, and that will absolutely mean, for example, if Angela Cooper is at a recruiting fair and I find someone that meets the criteria for math, that we're able to offer some type of incentive to intent to employ that person. All the preliminary screening and all of those types of assurances will still have to be done. But if we are not in a position to do that, I'd just like for you to know that we will position ourselves. It's very likely that we'll begin the school year unstaffed. More so than we have this year. I've been here, this is my 11th year, and I can tell you this is the 3rd year that we've had vacancies at this time of the year. And it just kills me. Are we doing everything we can do? We believe that we are. This is one thing that we aren't currently doing, and we know that others are. So, again, we plan to bring this back to you for consideration of adapting that protocol to allow us to step out there and be as competitive as everyone else. Do you have any questions?
I do, Dr.
Yes, ma'am?
How do we get by when we are in a shortage and we need classroom teachers, schools getting ready? How can we avoid those knee-jerk responses just by hiring a warm body, putting into class, and then we go down the road a couple of weeks and we realize we're in way over our head with certain teachers, and then you can't get, you're stuck. So how can those loopholes be avoided? If we do the early signing, I know you're still going to investigate, you're still going to do the things that you ordinarily do, and that doesn't mean that that would be binding. I don't think if there was something there that...
No, if there's something there, the contract would come null and void.
But is there a policy to go with long-range substitutes rather than hiring just that warm body, even though they're not highly qualified?
Yes, ma'am. During the budget process and Dr. James going out as a cabinet, we've been talking about this for a while. We have to work in a different mode. You know, our kids are different, we're different. You know, I get on my little soapbox, and I try not to. But we have to do business differently. And one of the things that will be on the budget table is floating, for example, TAs, you know, or floating substitutes, etc., to help us with that. Maybe rebidding certain things. We might have to look at vendorship or positions that we are close to medically fragile that we have not looked at, that we've talked about in the past. That's not, I mean, you know, Ms. Harmon has spent more time in my office lately, and I love Lisa to come in, but when she's all upset, you know, for the 100% attrition that she has in our particular category, you know, when we are doing all that we can do, then we need to do something differently. So we will be coming to you with other types of things for consideration that I believe will at least move us in that direction.
The answer to your question, Ms. Kessler, is yes.
Yes.
It's better to have a long-term sub and take that hit than it is to have somebody that has either problems that'll come up on their certificate later. And quite honestly, we've been taught by that. There's a district that hasn't been quite upfront, and but it would be better to have a long-term sub that is making an effort than to have somebody that we have for the next 10 years and they aren't really qualified to do what we need them to do.
We spend almost $1 million a year on substitutes. That line item has doubled since I came to work.
And that's a whole nother issue for the board whenever we do the workshop. It's quite honestly, the way we get subs is encourage the fact that we need subs. There's a direct correlation. But you remember how it was when you had to call in?
I did, yeah.
Well, if you don't have to call in, it's a whole lot easier.
Ms. Kessler, I appreciate you asking that question. Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
How many vacancies do we currently have?
Approximately 5 full-time.
We started the year at what, 18, I think, ish, you said?
I'm sorry?
Did you say we started the year with like 18 or so vacancies?
Not 18. Well, full-time vacancies. We had 19 just in one particular area, which were not completely full-time. And keep in mind that when these, you know, the 172, these are full-time folks. You know, so that doesn't include the athletic supplement scale or anything like that we do bring, or timesheet, after school, so forth and so on. Approximately 6, but approximately 10 otherwise, which I call timesheet, things that do not require a particular contract. But that being said too, another thing that Kevin and I are looking at is the fact that maintenance, skilled types of work, just like nurses and et cetera. You know, we are looking at offering, we're going to have to do some things here too. We are focused on our certified professional staff, but I'm just telling you that the challenge of finding suitable quality staff is across the board. And, you know, we may look at doing some career fairs for that particular category. I mean, we really are going to have to look at working differently, and we're prepared to do that. I know Mr. McPherson has you know, since he's been here, and he can share with you too, the way that we recruit, the things that we do, we're just going to have to offer up and go do different things. And I'd be glad to, we'd love to hear your input, and Dr. James said we'll bring that to you in January. So thank you for that. Are there any other questions? Good? Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is executive session.
Madam Chair, make a motion that the Board of Trustees in closed session for consideration of personnel appointments and resignations, discussion of property matters, and discussion of contractual matters.
Have a motion, to have a second. Second by Ms. Kessler. All in favor, say aye. Aye. We're now in executive session.